That's the start, I guess.
Test 1, 2. Can you hear that? Everybody hear us? Right on. Thank you all so very, very much for going up for the ORN Sports Fall Banquet. This is always so much fun to put together and be a part of. How many years is this now, Harlan?
You've been here every year.
I know. I can't remember what I did. Fourth. I can't remember what I did yesterday. But it's growing every year. I think we've outgrown this room here, so we're going to have to probably expand the size. We want to thank Bootleggers Bbq. They're providing tonight's meal. It'll be really good for those of you that have never got to spend some time there. You're really going to enjoy it. Also, we've got, I guess, where's Miss Crystal out here? She's kind of a driving force with all this. Give her a big hand. And Miss Beverly out there as well. She was really big and instrumental in this. And really the guy that needs all of it, who's kind of had the foresight and everything to do this, is Harlan Hutchison.
We want to thank you all for being here. For those that have been here before, who are mostly coaches, we want to thank all the athletes, the coaches, the parents, and the family members for turning out for this event. And like Gary said, we're just about to outgrow this little room here. So we'll probably be looking at maybe some different accommodations in the next, maybe next year. But it's a great thing to be able to have all of you here. And the Ozark Radio Network, who hosts this event, is comprised of KDY Radio, which is a country station, contemporary country station, KUKU, which is a classic country station, Q94 is 93.9, classic rock. That's the station that Gary is on. That's music that I can understand. The Fox KUPH 96.9, which is top 40 modern music, which I do not understand, but that's all right. And also our Ozark Regional News Talk stations, AM and FM, KWPM. And the reason we do this is because we do a lot of sports over the course of a year. I figured it up on the bus to Ottumwa the other day because I didn't have anything else to do. We do around 400 sporting events a year on all of our stations, everything from high school to Cardinals baseball. So we've got a lot of stuff going on when it comes to sports, and our relationship with the high schools has always been great, just fantastic. And so it's to the point where we wanted to do something as sort of a way of saying thanks and something a little bit special. And that's why we formulated this event here, and we'll talk more about that after we have our meal, which is coming up next. And if you would, please remove your caps as we say grace before our meal. Our Father in heaven, it's with gratitude and humility we come before Thee tonight in this gathering, honoring these young people who are in this room, who are not only examples for their schools, their towns, and younger people who look up to them, but for the prospect of them being the leaders of tomorrow. We thank Thee for the hands that prepared our food for tonight. May it nourish and strengthen our bodies. We thank Thee for all these blessings and all others we stand in need of. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Okay, here's the way we're going to go through the line. We'll start.
Do a great job. They'll cater. They did my daughter's graduation party. They'll do weddings, anniversaries. They got a great dine-in experience as well. But they just do a fabulous job. And this is quite the undertaking, when you go to taking on hungry football players and volleyball players and their parents. But they're top notch, and if you are looking for any catering, Bootleggers Bbq, they'll definitely treat you right, and it's a great price. Yeah, we have some other folks as well that, you'll notice these little centerpieces, the decoration sponsors that we have all been provided through the Grapevine and Ava. Consider the Lilies Forest and Gifts, Annie's Flowers and Gifts in Highland, Arkansas, the Bouquet Palace of Mountain Home, Kabul Florist and Gifts, Vintage Floral in Willow Springs, the Angel Garden in Mountain View, Creations especially for you, Spice Berry Flowers and Gifts, and Mammoth Spring Floral Express, along with West Plains Floral and Balloonery. We have some table sponsors that, it takes a lot to get this going, but our table sponsors, West Plains Savings and Loan, West Plains Surgery Center, Country Cottage, Nelson Tire, Tinsley Farm Equipment, Emerson Climate Technologies, Missouri Ozarks Community Health, Sabre Grill, West Plains Dairy Transport, State Farm Insurance, Stephen Gum, Mako Management, Mountain Grove Apartments, and Mid Ozarks Insurance. All these folks really is what makes it possible for us to be able to do this.
Okay, we're just about to the point where we're going to start handing out the awards. Before we do that, I was alluding a little bit earlier. For those, this is not a new thing for the coaches that are here, because most of them are here every year. But for the athletes and the parents, it's for the most part your first time coming to this. And so, if I were a player, I'd want to know how I got to come to this. Who's responsible? Well, look at the coach. Your coach sitting near you, that's the person responsible for you being here today. And so you need to give them a pat on the back and a word of thanks for choosing you. Absolutely. Coaches deserve it. Now, the next question is, why did they pick you? Well, that could be any number of reasons. It could be just simply your good looks. It could... Isn't it amazing how many people agree with that? It could be just your expertise in your particular sport. It could be the fact that you're a good person, good citizen, good teammate. We've had some kids that have been chosen who were not necessarily the best players on their respective teams, but they were chosen because they showed up every single day. They showed up and put the work in. And that's worth a lot. And you'll find out when you get out of school and get into life, showing up every day is a big part of the life. And so that's worth a lot. Now, this isn't just about the young people that we're honoring here tonight. If you'll notice, we have several parents in the room. And we also have family members here. Now you say, why is this a big deal? It just depends on how you look at it. But here's the way I look at it. It's a big deal because this is sort of the creation of a moment in time. For you parents that are here tonight, you look at these kids, and they're not necessarily little kids anymore. They're growing up. If you look at these kids, and you can probably remember the first time you went to a school Christmas play or a Christmas concert. They're in first grade. The girls are standing there, grouped together, singing. She's playing with her hair, looking around. Her lips are moving. She may be singing, she may not. The boy's standing there, maybe missing a couple of front teeth, standing up straight like he's a Marine. His head thrown back and singing at the top of his lungs. And you can hear him over 30 other kids. With no regard to key or pitch, volume is the only thing that matters. And it's perfect. Because they're your kids. and you love them. That is a moment. And hopefully, as you look back on this, this will be a moment in later years. Those moments are getting fewer and fewer as they get older and older. They just change. But hopefully you'll look back on this, and this will be a pleasant memory and a moment for you and them. And we thank you all very much for being here tonight. This is one of my 3 favorite nights of the year. First one is when the time changes and we get an extra hour of sleep. The second one, of course, will be Christmas Eve. And then we have this one. And all this is, it's just a fun evening where the coaches get to come up here, brag on these kids, we have a nice dinner, and we go home. It's a fun night, and we thank you for being a part of it this year. Here's the way this works. Gary and I will switch off. We will call up different schools, and we'll go by school. And first we'll have the volleyball program, the volleyball coach come forward with their players. That coach will talk a little bit about their players, and then, are we doing photographs?
Yes, afterwards.
After the whole thing's over?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm sorry, we did photographs with each one, and then the parents all the time come out and take them.
Okay, so you want to do that?
You're welcome to.
Okay, here's what we'll do then. After the coach talks about the players, we'll hand them their plaques. If you want to move over there. Hopefully look a lot better than that. But then if you want to come up and take some photos, that's fine. Well, people tend to want to do that, and that's great. So it's an opportunity to do that. So that's how we'll do it. And we'll go volleyball and football from school to school. And then when we get down to the very end, now all of this, as we go through the schools, is all chosen by the coaches. All of this. We're going to get down to the end, and then we will announce who we have chosen to be our volleyball and football player and coach of the year. So we have 4 things that we choose that we'll hand out at the very end. So, and I also realize we have some coaches here for the first time. I don't know how many coaches I've had that are here for the first time that email me and say, what am I supposed to do? Well, we'll get some of the veterans up here first so that you can see how they do it, like Swafford and Sloan and some of these guys. You'll learn a lot from it. So let's go ahead and get started. And you'll find, you look at this list and you think, oh my gosh, it's going to go on forever. It won't go on. This goes so fast, so fast. And again, if you want to take some photos, players just stand over here to the left, and then the coach can get with them and we'll take some pictures. Okay, here we go. First up, could we please have, for the volleyball program at Houston High School, could we have Coach Lauren Richardson and her players, Alexis Shope and Maddie Barton.
So I chose Alexis Choate and Maddie Barton. They're 2 seniors that I've got to be able to coach for 3 years now. They weren't my top statistical leaders. They didn't earn any all-conference or all-district honors. But I chose them because they were great teammates and they were hard workers. Maddie, at the end of last school year, at the end of last club season, I honestly didn't know if I was going to have a role for her on varsity this year. But let me tell you, she worked her butt off this summer, and it just clicked. And she ended up being a great defensive player for us. And her teammates voted her most improved at the end of the season, so I was really proud of her. And Alexis, she's been a 3-year varsity setter for us. Her junior and senior year, her sophomore and junior year, she led the team in assists and was second this year. But she wasn't just a standout player for us, and that's not always a bad thing. But you know what? Kind of like I said, she showed up. She did the work. She was my most consistent, my most steady player. And her teammates voted her for our Tiger Heart Award, which is character, unity, and servant leadership is what she really stood for. And I was really proud of her for that as well. Neither girl knows what they want to do after graduation, well, where they want to go to school. Alexis wants to be a speech pathologist, and Maddie wants to be, an orthodontist. So I know that they have big goals, and I know that they're going to reach those goals. I'm really proud of these two, and they will be dearly missed next year. Thank you.
All right, for those coaches that were wondering, that's how it's done. Right there. Very well done. Annette, thank you very much. All right, Lauren, thank you. And now Houston football. Coach Eric Sloan and his players are CJ Lee and Peyton Dixon. Accepting the award for Coach Sloan will be, I wonder why he's here, is Jake Berkshire filling in for Coach Sloan.
Coach Sloan wasn't able to be here tonight. His wife was running a marathon, so I said I'll fill in. This was my first year at Houston, and anytime you come in and bring a new type of defense, you're always kind of wondering how kids are going to handle it. A quick story on CJ. I was at an OFL game watching Houston play, and I don't know if you remember this, but I'd been watching film of the last year, and I kind of knew him by numbers, and he kind of came up and introduced himself. I said, "Well, what's your number?" He told me his number, and I said, "Okay, I think I want you to play my Sam." "Oh, I don't play Sam, Coach." I said, "Well, that's a shame. Sam's my stud." Sounds like I'm Sam. So I was like, I like this kid. But CJ Lee and Peyton Dixon, both of these guys have been all-conference kids for the last couple of years. Both of them are first-teamers. Were all-district players also last year, and really were the staples of our defense. CJ led our team in tackles, I believe, last year also, correct? And Peyton plays safety better than a lot of kids I've ever coached. Comes downhill very hard, and it'll be very tough to replace both of these guys this year. So both of them are great young men, honor roll kids, hard workers in the weight room. Peyton doesn't always like to. He would tell you he hates the weight room, but when he's in there, he does everything we ask him to do. And I told him that's all any coach wants from him. So very proud of these guys, and they've been great teammates. I'm going to miss them next year.
Our next coach to speak is a team that I follow on a regular basis, the Liberty Eagles. All of us here in one fashion or another, we've competed, as we get older. Maybe it's on the golf course, or maybe it's with a game of chess or checkers. These young people here, they give everything they've got to compete, and some try to compete at the highest level possible. Well, I would like to introduce a Final Four trip to the volleyball and head coach Sherry Toon. And I always think Sherry is one of the players. When she first got hired, okay, this is true. When she first got hired, I'm like, who's the new volleyball coach? Where is she? Oh, she's right there. I'm looking, I'm looking. And they said, okay. Originally from Summersville, has done a fantastic job, and her two players, Allison Smith and Trinity Clark.
The short people jokes really starting to hurt my self-esteem here, Gary. Never end. This is what happens when we are short. We have to compete when we bring tall people. You won't see that happen with me. I'm not a heels person, so I even get more jokes. I have one short person and one tall person, so I thought I might fit in tonight if I brought Trinity with me. It's the only reason I brought her, is because she was short, and I thought she would fit in with me, but she broke the deal. No, I'm just kidding. Trinity Clark, she's the one on the left, my left. She is a senior for me. She was my libero. Trinity jumped into the libero position last year for me. She was originally a setter and an outside hitter and everything else but a libero. I tend to try to find somebody, a libero for me, that is loud, that's not afraid to tell somebody when they're not doing their job, and somebody that's just always going to be there to pick her teammates up. And her junior year, she came in and she did exactly that. The girls love her, however, they do listen to her. If they're not giving their all in practice, she's going to be telling them about it. And if they're doing something that she don't think is what should work for the team, then she usually finds a nice way to say it. But if her point don't get across, then she makes sure that it does. And that's huge for that position. If you know anything about volleyball, liberos, they lead the floor. They don't get all the credit because they don't 10-foot balls and block balls, but without them, things don't happen. They're telling their hitters where to hit, telling their servers where to serve. They're in control of almost every ball because they take the first one. So it's a really huge role for us, and I really take a lot of credit in who I've put there. So she's done a great job. She's currently holding every defensive record at Liberty High School right now. She broke them last year. She broke her own records again this year. She was all-state, all-conference, all-district, and she's just a great athlete, but more so just a great person. I try to pick these girls based on somebody that, if I was to do life at that age again, who I'd want by my side, and these two would definitely be great candidates. Allie Smith is another senior for me. She was my middle hitter. She's not real big for a middle hitter, but if you haven't seen her play, she jumps out of the gym, so that works out well for us. She's a track star too, so those two things go together well. Allie was SCA Player of the Year, and she's right up there in the Liberty record book too. I think she's second in blocks, and she only had 3 years of varsity to do that. Career and season blocks. She was a phenomenal athlete. If you try to think of a positive impact player that just does everything right, practice, but not just on the court in life, makes good choices, makes good grades. That's your girl right there. She's always there. These two, this one on the left, she's always asking everybody opponents to pray with us after a game, and then Allie's there to lead the prayer. So these two are really big parts of our Liberty volleyball tradition, and I'm really going to miss them. Thank you.
Up next, Coach Darren Eklund couldn't be here. He's out of pocket, but filling in for Darren. I call him head coach all the time. I mean, to me, Darren and Brock are inseparable. They've been together for many years, and they read one another so well. And if you don't believe me, just watch them on the sideline during the game sometime. It's awesome. They definitely care and are very passionate about what they do. So Coach Roka Nagy, along with Colton Foster and Broden Nagy.
I would like to thank the radio network for hosting this event. As Gary said, Coach Eklund wasn't able to be here tonight. He went ahead and let me know that at 3 o'clock Friday, so I'd be prepared for this. I hope you all won't watch us on the sideline. It would be entertaining, but probably not a good thing to do. The two young men that we are representing us tonight, Broden and Colton Foster, they've been with me for a long time, so it's very special to me. Colton Foster, he was a defensive back and wide receiver for us. He has been a staple for Liberty football for the past 3 years, playing as a sophomore, junior, and senior. This year, he was first team all-conference wide receiver. He was also first team all-conference wide receiver last year. He had 76 receptions for 1,143 yards and 16 touchdowns this year, which is just absolutely outstanding. And we're truly going to miss him because he has been a great leader. He was also our team captain and spokesman this year. Roka Nagy, I don't know a lot about him. He just kind of showed up. He's been our captain the last 2 years. Broden has started all 4 years for us on both sides of football. He's been a staple for us. He was all-conference player all 4 years. This year he's first team defensive lineman. He was also nominated for the Lineman of the Year award in the SCA. As an offensive lineman, he blocked the past 4 years on offenses that surpassed 4,000 yards all 4 years. So we've had an extremely good offense, and he's a big part of it. He also played defense for me. Thank goodness. This year he had a very good year. He had 95 total tackles with 29 solos, 66 assists, 26 tackle for loss, and 6 sacks. We're truly going to miss these two fine young men. Thank you.
Okay, next up will be Mountain Home Volleyball. And we're alternating this, and here's why. Well, we're alternating, but I chose Mountain Home because I like to say Mountain Home Bombers. That's my favorite nickname of all the ones here, the Mountain Home Bomber. Since I was a little kid, I thought that was the coolest nickname. Welcome to the podium, Coach Jill Daves, along with players Charlie Pierce and Leah Jackson.
To be able to attend this banquet, and I have to say this is pretty awesome. This is a great deal that you guys do, and come and support these kids and recognize them for their hard work. I'm just kind of in wow. This is really, thank you so much. These girls, I didn't know my first year at Mountain Home I would be coming into a group of girls so talented. We are mostly sophomores and juniors. We had one senior that I actually recruited walking down the hallway and said, hey, do you want to play volleyball? But we're mostly juniors and sophomores, and so next year we have high hopes to bring home that state banner. This season, these girls ended up 16-8 overall. They were 8-6 in conference. They were state quarterfinalists, and they were ranked number 10 in the state of Arkansas. And I think that's pretty impressive with a bunch of sophomores and juniors to be number 10 in the state. I chose these two girls. They stood out to me this year. Leah was kind of our quarterback. She's our setter on the team. She had to keep everybody in line and keep everybody motivated and talking. Charlie was like our leader. Everybody loves Charlie. They went to her. She kept everybody, on the same page. Hey, we got this. I want to start off by talking about Leah. She's a junior setter. She was third in our conference with 692 assists. She is an all-conference selection, and she received the ABCA Player of the Week. The ABCA Player of the Week is chosen one athlete in the entire state of Arkansas, and it doesn't matter what position you play, but the Coaches Association chose one player depending on how well that they played for that particular week, and that is a huge, huge honor for Leah to have. she is such a hard worker. If the ball goes up in the stands, she's going in. She's going in the stands. If you're in her way, she's going to run over you. She's one of the strongest players I have ever seen. She could probably bench press some of these football guys. She is an outstanding athlete. We cannot wait to see what she's going to do her senior year. And I didn't mention, she also played the season with a stress fracture in her foot and a possible fracture in her wrist. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Am I going to have to deal with a freshman? And she's like, no, I got this. Just take me up. And we did. We taped her up, and she rallied through. And when we would go play different teams, other coaches would come and say, wow, that setter's fun to watch. She's a lot of fun. She's a hustler. She's not going to let the ball hit the floor. So I'm very proud of Leah. Next, I would like to talk about Charlie Pierce. She was our most consistent, big gun, powerful hitter on the floor. When she went up to hit, there were people that would close their eyes and hope that she didn't hit them in the face. She is so powerful. She is by far the best team player I have ever coached, because if she did not have a good night and we still won, she would be the first one going around her teammates telling them, you played awesome, you did a great job. And that's huge, because that told me it's not all about her. Even though she's very talented, it wasn't all about her. If she had a bad game, she'd be the first. Hey, coach, you need to take me out? I'm ready to come out. If I need to, we want to win. She's very selfless player. And that's hard to find a very talented athlete that is selfless, in my opinion. She wants her team to win at all costs. Let's see, she finished number 6 in our conference with 262 kills, 4th out of the conference with a .323 hitting percentage. She's all conference, all state tournament team player. And she's only a junior. So we get another year with both of these young ladies, and I can't be any more prouder than you guys for you guys this year. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Now for Mountain Home football, we have Coach Brian Maddox and his players Dylan Pausch and Lathan Aldridge.
Well, thank you for the shout out for the Bombers. Best mascot there is, in my opinion. I'm from Mountain Home, and that's my hometown. Been there for 11 years, and as proud to be a Bomber as anybody. In Arkansas, obviously we don't get to play the majority of the schools in here. We play in what they call the 6A East. There's 7 classifications all the way up to 7A. We're in 6A. And one of the things I want to say before I talk about these two is, in my opinion, we play in one of the toughest football conferences around. And watching last night, you're watching Ohio State play, and there's a young man that we had to play against for 3 years, and he's making plays in the Big Ten championship game. So really tough conference, good football down there in Arkansas. But for those of you not familiar with Mountain Home, just a little background. Brought with me tonight 2 captains from our football team. Obviously, looking at Lathan, you can see that linebacker type kid. He's one of the best linebackers I think we've had at Mountain Home. We had a really young football team this year. At any given time, you look out there, and at a 6A school, we've got 5 seniors on the field. Well, he's one of them. And so what goes along with that is having to be a leader to some younger kids in the face of adversity. We didn't win a lot of football games. But what I can tell you about Lathan is he's as physical. He's not going to back down from a challenge. And we basically were the underdog this year every time we went out there. And that kid is going to shed blocks. He's going to stick his nose in there, and he's going to make full contact with the fullback, with the biggest 350-pound offensive tackle. I think we played a team this year that had a razorback, and Lathan takes him on, still makes a tackle. And just a great kid that plays with passion and effort and energy, and I just can't say enough about him as a linebacker. What stinks for him is he's also a very good fullback, but we needed him at linebacker. We were very thin at linebacker, and so we didn't let him carry the ball a whole lot. I believe had we let him carry it more, he probably would have had at least 1,000 yards or more. He has that kind of ability in him. He could play on both sides of the ball, but we needed him on defense. Weight room kid, very, very strong in the weight room, works hard at it. Great academically, and I think, and I can honestly say that about both of the young men sitting up here today. I think the greatest compliment we as coaches can give our kids is, if you're a father like I am, you hope your own kids turn out just like. I hope they turn out just like these two. I'm going to come back to Dylan in a second, but Lathan never complained. He wanted to carry the ball. He didn't complain. He just showed up every day. Said, "Coach, if you need me on defense, that's what I'm going to do." And he brought everybody else along for the ride with him. So, he got named Player of the Week against Jacksonville. He had 11 tackles in one game. He had 50 tackles for the season. I could sit here and go on and on about his stats, but I can just tell you he's a great football player. And being in Missouri, you guys don't get a chance to see him much, but great football player. Really going to miss him next year as a senior. I tried to bring 2 seniors, but I could not miss the opportunity to bring Dylan Pausch with me tonight as a junior. I could sit here and tell you about him on the field, off the field, and say a lot of the same things you've already heard tonight. He's the last one to leave almost every day. Mom's in the back of the room. I think she'd tell you she's had to go out on the field and pull him off to get him to his next endeavor, whatever it is after school. He's that kid that makes you kick him out, and that's a great quality to have. I think he's going to punt in college someday. He's an all-conference punter. He played tight end. He played right tackle. He played left tackle. He played right guard. Played left guard, not in games, but he was ready to. If we needed him to, he'd have played center, wide receiver, or running back. He's one of the smartest kids I think I've ever coached. He is the classic overachiever. If every athlete in this room achieved at the rate he did, I think everybody in here would compete for a state championship. He's that kind of kid. He's going to make the most out of every opportunity. I'm going to embarrass him. I'm going to tell him a story. I'm going to tell a story about him that he doesn't even know that I know. Another coach in our school has him in a sport where he's not going to get to play a whole lot. Basketball. Sorry, Dylan. That's what he told me. And as he's talking to Dylan, he's telling Dylan, "Hey, are you sure you want to do this? Because you had a great football season. Do you want to go back to that weight room and work on football and get ready for next year? Because I don't know if you're going to get to play a whole lot in basketball." And his response was, I'm not trying to embarrass you, Dylan, but this is fantastic. His response was, "Coach, I can help these younger guys learn the offense, learn the defense, how to handle themselves on trips. I can help tutor them. I can help make this team better." And that's a story that I think I will tell the rest of my coaching career. I'm absolutely honored to stand up here with these two tonight. And I'm going to tell you, I'm up here talking about their character. They're fantastic football players, too. Dylan averaged 38 yards per punt. He made, I don't know how many tackles, a bunch of tackles. I didn't write that down, Dylan. Averaged 15 yards of reception as a tight end. We're a triple option team. We don't throw it very much. Sorry again, but he's that guy blocking down as a tight end, just selfless as can be. He doesn't get the stats, but makes the good things happen that you see. So that's really all I have. Just really honored to be here tonight. Thank you guys for inviting Mountain home and letting Arkansas be here too.
Well, next, we're going to go back to the SCA and the Willow Springs Bears. And Coach Megan James and her 2 players, Shayna Figley and Tessa Dudridge.
To be a good blocker and just do those things that we ask her to do. She's a left-handed hitter, and so we started her on the right side, and I switched her midway through the season, and she never complained. And the thing I love about Cheyenne is she is a great leader, a great teammate. She is always encouraging the younger kids. She wants to help them, both on the floor and off the floor. And that is just a great quality for her to have as a player and as a teammate and as a friend. And then I also have Tessa Dedridge, who's a junior. She started out the season hitting, and then I had to move her to libero, and she never complained. I think she wanted to hit, but she worked really hard for us as libero. She was the key player in our defense, and she was also a leader for us on the court and off the court, and she was willing to help the younger girls just learn our offense, learn our defense, and just lead our team. And she was an all-conference and an all-district player. She was voted most valuable player by her teammates. So I'm looking forward to a big senior season with Tessa.
Coach Logan Swallow of the Willow Springs Bears, and his two recipients, Triton Henley and Chase Garrison.
Thanks for putting this on tonight. We're over here, Ozark Radio Network. I brought a senior and a junior. I'll talk about Chase first. He's a senior. Wins-wise, successful-wise, we didn't have a lot of them this year, but these two kids, these two are captains of the football team, two of the three captains we had. Couldn't be more proud of both of them. Chase is a senior. He was a freshman when I first got to Little Springs. He's gotten a lot bigger. I know his height is not where he probably wanted to be, but I'm telling you, pound for pound, this kid's probably one of the strongest kids in this room. Whatever he does at full speed. He does what I or any other coach on our staff would ask him to do. I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud to call myself his coach. Yeah, good kid, great kid, and he will do great things later in life. On the left, Triton Henley, he's a junior. Great kid, he played quarterback for us. Numbers-wise, maybe this year we didn't have the numbers that we wanted to have, but this kid, whatever I ask him to do, whatever I tell him to do, he'll do it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Very respectful, great leader for all of his teammates, whether they're older than him or younger than him. No matter what adversity hits, he does his best to fight through it. Like Chase, I'm very proud to call myself his coach, and I look forward to coaching him next year as a senior. Thank you very much.
Next up, Ava High School. For volleyball, their coach is Emily Petty. Their players are Lauren Mendel and Kate McDonald.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Thank you for having us. This is my first year at Ava, first year as the head coach. So coming in, I preach change. We need to completely change our mindset and our concepts and just set forth on a new path. And these two seniors that I brought today were the stepping stones for me to enable change for our team. We had a better season than we have in recent years. We won 14 games this year. We were able to make it past the first round in districts, second round in districts. We met up with the Class 3 state champs, Rogersville. So it was pretty hard to compete with that. But these two ladies, like I said, they're my seniors, they're my leaders. Kate McDonald, in the yellow, she got SDA honoree mention. Lauren Mendel, she was voted by her teammates as team captain. They were just the two I really relied on this year. They did a great job for me. They always worked hard, showed up day in, day out, put the work forth. Thanks.
All right, Ava Bear football time. Coach Dan Swafford, his players are Caleb Johnson and Nate Swafford.
Hello, my name is Dan Swafford. I'm the head football coach at Ava High School. When I first saw this program, I saw that we were last on the list. Oh, can't wait. It was a good thing because I wanted to be behind Vince Mccroskey because I know I'll get roasted. But now I'm out of luck.
It's still coming, brother.
I'll try to.
Shut up.
I'll try not to be too long here. I like to tell stories, these two guys right here, I'm very proud of them. Nate Swafford, my son, the junior there, and then Caleb Johnson, the senior. I try to bring a junior and a senior every year. Both these guys have been tremendous assets to our program, changing the culture of what we do there at Ava. I want to say congratulations to Coach Petty and the volleyball girls too. What a great year you guys had, and changing the culture is what you're doing. You're part of that. And that's what we're looking for. I'll start off with Nate. I'm very proud. I'm a proud dad and a proud coach. He worked very hard. He's, in junior high. I'm going to talk about these guys' junior high seasons while I'm up here. Nate was a little short, fat guy. That really everybody kind of probably whispered, "That's the coach's son." Boy, we didn't get too. That's kind of a very good deal there. And all of a sudden, he starts growing and he starts working because he understands that he's a little short, fat guy. And then all of a sudden, he's not fat anymore, and he's nothing but muscle and bone right now. And he sets the tone for our work ethic in our high school. As much as I'm proud of him as a football player, that how he got there was playing basketball, and what the difference was running track. Okay, I feel sorry for you, anybody here, and I hope I don't step on anybody's toes when I say if you're a one-sport athlete, boy, you're missing out. It's what makes your program. It's what makes your team. It's what makes your athleticism. And that's a difference maker for him. But he was going to buck me to run track again this year because I made him run track. I made him run track as a sophomore. And he goes, Dad, I guess I'm running track next year. And I said, yeah. I don't have to run the 800. Yeah, you did. That's what makes you tough. Anyway, I'm very proud of him. He's an all-conference player. And was one of the biggest playmakers in the conference this year. Most people probably, when they saw him walk out, they go, "Look at that little skinny guy. It went from a little fat guy, a little skinny guy. How can he have those numbers he's got?" And then he get the ball in his hands one way or the other, and making touchdowns and making plays. And I'm just really proud of him. Next is Caleb Johnson. Now again, I'm going to tell you about a junior high guy right here. If you ever watched him play football in junior high, this is junior high All-American, best ever, if there ever was one. They had 3 players on their team, and three good ones, and he was one. And we had another lineman, and then a girl that was really good. And and I'm not against girls. Please don't take that wrong. I'm just saying they just didn't have a whole lot. They never lost a game in junior high because this guy, I take it back. They lost one. That's right. Lost one in West Plains. It was a close one. And he was everything. But my fear was I would tell him this: are you going to be a junior high hero and a high school zero? That was my fear as a coach. And I'm just going to be honest with you. There was many times in these 4 years, because he's played since he was a freshman. He started his game as his first game at quarterback as a freshman. There was many times when we would have issues. Okay, I mean it would get hot. It would get I was always confronting him, and he's I always say great players are kind of hard to coach. And this guy's a great player. And sometimes because he's strong-willed and strong-minded, he was hard to deal with. He wrote me a letter. In the middle of the season, we had this day in school where we what do you call it? What was that day? Like a gratitude day, and we'd send letters to people, you know, and I wrote some, and I'd encourage my players to write these letters to people and just say, thank you for what you've done. Well, I get a letter from Caleb Johnson. I got to tell you, I was very surprised with that. And he said, hey, Coach, I know we're like fire and oil, you know. Something along those lines, you know, if you get too much of either way, there's some big explosions, and that is the truth. He goes, but with the right combination, you know, good things happen. And he finished this off with saying, before you blow up on me today in practice, just remember you got a good-looking wife. She's not here tonight. I wish she was here. But that's the kind of relationship we would have, and I really appreciate that because you know it would get heated. I mean, and what was great is sometimes when he had these things, when we have issues, he would take a game over. And I know if any of you guys ever watched him play, or you all that did watch him play, you know he was the first one you had to stop in our offense. And we, you know, I could tell you a lot of numbers and stuff, but here's the thing: both of them had big numbers. Caleb's the guy that would distribute it one way or the other, either running it, passing it, pitching it. You know, we're a triple option team, and we're one of the best in the state as far as I'm concerned at doing that. You know, Caleb, I wish I should have got this figure, but somewhere around 40 wins in your 4 years, something like that. I don't think it's exactly 40 wins, but basically averaging about 8 wins a season for the last 4 years. And that's pretty impressive if you ask me. And Caleb Johnson's behind a lot. He's behind that. I'm just going to be straight up with you. He's an outstanding player. I will miss both of them. You know, they are great competitors. They're all both of them are 3-sport athletes. I don't care what you do, you know. I think that's something that, you know, if you're a parent, you need to encourage your kids to participate while they can. There's just a small window that you're going to be able to do that. And we try to encourage that at Ava High School. And I think it's paying off. So, hey, thank you for listening to me tell my stories. Have a great night.
Let's head to the Grove. The Grove, what a reputation, what a tradition of sports and football and basketball and baseball. Coach Rogers was one heck of an athlete for the Grove. He really was. Folks, let him hear it. He was as good as never come out of the SCA. And volleyball, of course, is such a great sport. It's so much fun to watch. And you know, sometimes the girls don't get enough love. They really don't, and they need more. So all these young ladies out here at volleyball, let them hear it. I mean, they work just as hard as guys. But if we could get Coach Amy McNew and Grace Moore and Sydney Knoll to come up.
Speaking of Brandon Rogers' amazing athletic ability, I remember this summer during summer school he attempted to play volleyball with my PE class, and he is not so good. Although he did try to kill one of my volleyball players by jumping on her back and trying to almost hit a ball. So don't let him fool you, he wasn't that good. These two, Grace Moore and Cindy Knoll, two seniors for me, I feel like anyway, they're kind of the cornerstone for our program. One was my team captain, Grace. Cindy was more my floor captain. Sherry's already spoken on the libero roles, so that's kind of the floor captain. She's out there more than anybody besides maybe your setters, so she really has to take control of the game. These two do a great job leading. I've been there for the last 3 years. I don't know that I can remember a day that they've really ever missed anything. They're both excellent students. Sydney is going to graduate high school with 30 college hours. 50? Oh, only 50, my bad. 50 college hours. They both work jobs. Grace has 2 right now, I think. So on top of being athletes, they are great students and they have jobs. so their time management skills are very good. And I know every coach in here thinks their athletes are the best. I win. Cindy's been academic all-state, speaking of that, for the last 3 years. She was second team all-conference and for the Libero and second team all-districts this year. Grace has been first team all-conference the last 2 years. She was first team all-district this year, first team all-conference. And like I said, I know everybody in here thinks their kids are the best, but just like being a parent, I think mine are. And I wouldn't trade them for anything, and I'm sad to see them go. But I do appreciate their efforts over the last 3 years. Thank you.
Head Panther coach Brandon Rogers, along with TJ Drone and Trevor Thompson.
Well, Gary, thank you. I'm sure glad I showed up tonight. I'm not used to people saying nice things about me. Anyway, first of all, I'd like to, this is TJ Drone, the one tall redhead, and then Trevor Thompson. I was sure lucky enough to have these two seniors. This is my first year as a head coach at Mountain Grove, and to inherit two big guys like this was, man, it's great. TJ Drone, he's been an all-conference player for 2 years, first team all-conference lineman. Last year he got his season cut short at Salem when he broke his leg. And he really had to fight to get back. He worked really hard. And at times this year you could see it still in his walk and his run. But he got through it, and he was first team all-conference lineman this year, and was one of the nominees for lineman of the year in the conference. He also is probably one of the best kids I've ever coached for his attitude, work ethic. I've never had any trouble out of this kid, and it's great to show up and see him every day. Now tonight I went and got my plate, and I ate a little bit of it, and then he took over and ate the rest of it. So he should be full. But anyway, he had a great year this year. He was voted Offensive Lineman of the Year by his teammates. And next, I would like to talk about Trevor Thompson, first team all-conference running back. He's an all-state linebacker last year. Put him up for running back this year. He received that award. He averaged over 100 yards a game. He was that guy that you knew he was going to get the ball. It was no secret when you played Mountain Grove. I think if Carnegie and Swafford, they knew 29 was going to touch it. So, and for him to have that big of games and to do what he did really says a lot about him. I mean, I think against Liberty he had 38 carries in one of the games. So he ran the ball the same the first time as he did the number 38 time, and I'm just really proud of him and the work he put into this year. But if you were to ask, I would probably say he's a better defensive player than offensive. This is his third year with 100 straight tackles. Like I said, he was all state last year, and will probably be nominated again for it this year. But anyway, just really proud of these two guys, and thank you guys.
Okay, West Plains High School volleyball, Coach Tori Healy and players Mckenna Warren and Morgan Mahan.
Alright, so I'll start with a little side note about the honoring Coach Mack over there. If you ever need some real dirt on him, come and talk to Coach Reeves or I from Kabul about him being our 7th grade basketball coach. Got some good stories on him. Ava, we can talk after this. I typed up a page to help stay on topic, which I should have started with that, because I could go on for hours about how great these two athletes are. All right, so I don't think it's a coincidence that many of these athletes share some of the same characteristics. These characteristics have helped shape them into being a great athlete, and I feel like it's going to shape them into becoming great citizens when you enter the real world. Just soon, I know you're a little nervous. The first athlete I will talk about is Miss Morgan Mahan. Morgan was our silent workhorse and led to her actions. She never complained, never tried to get out of her workout, brought a positive attitude everywhere she went, and was coachable. She has set an awesome example for the younger girls to follow, including her little sister who is a freshman, and it is a very big honor to give you this award, Miss Morgan. Our second athlete I'll talk about is Miss Mckenna Morin. Mckenna was our absolute dominant player this year. She was selected for the Branton All-Tournament team, the Mount Vernon All-Tournament team. She was second team All-Conference, and then received All-District Honorable Mention, which is very tough to do in our awesome district. She led our team with kills and also became a six rotation player and started playing defense halfway through the season. And she became one of our best defensive players, even though she's very leery about the position. And just like McKenna, she set a great example for the younger girls, and I'm very excited and honored to give this award to you as well. So this is West Plains Volleyball.
I should have mentioned this earlier, but I guess it doesn't matter. When this is all over, with all of the athletes that got awards tonight, please hang around so we can have like a group photo taken of all of you before you get out the door. And also, Jim Lambert is back there videoing this event. And after the fact, tomorrow, if you want to see this or tell family members about it and they'd like to see this for themselves, it'll be on our website, ozarkradionews.com, and you can watch it as many times as you want. It'll be there on our website posted tomorrow. All right, West Plains football. Let's have Coach Steve Airy and players Jake Swope and Ian Airy.
Thank you, Ozark Radio Network. Players, you're here for a reason. Don't get off the path here. You're successful, and it's because of what you've done, and you're going to continue to be successful and keep doing what you're doing. I'm the head coach of the West Plains Scissors. We finished up season 12-1. Ozark Conference champs, district champs. Had 15 all-conference players, 24 seniors. I would have been honored to have had any of the 15 up here. I mean, we were just loaded with talent this year. 15 first-team all-conference players. So you don't have to be much of a coach when you got dudes like that. Picked these two. I don't get to hang out with my son enough, so I picked him, and then I picked the other big guy. They're two of the best players we have. Both of them are dominant football players. Two of the best players I've ever coached. And I've been coaching a long time. This was the best team I've ever coached. And these are two of the best players I've ever coached. I'm going to start with the big guy with the long hair, and that's Jake Swope. Jake plays left tackle for us, and if you want to know how big he is, he's about 6'7", 254. And finished the season with 75 knockdowns. He was a first-team all-conference player. We have not had district and state voting yet, but I'd be surprised if he's not both of those two. He's a first-team all-state type of player. Very committed for 4 years, never missed a workout, never missed a practice. Apple don't fall far from the tree. He has two fantastic parents, Jason and Linda. Jake is, I told him, I said, Jakester, if you can find some nasty, the colleges are going to come. They're going to come. Look at you. And he found it. He found some nasty this year. And the 75 knockdowns, you start throwing that stuff on tape. And Anyway, just to let you know a little bit about his future. He right now I got offered by Northern Iowa a couple of days ago, but he's been offered by Southeast Missouri State, Western Illinois, Southern Illinois University, Northern Iowa, Central Missouri football camp this summer, Tennessee Martin, Nebraska's calling, Wyoming's calling, Iowa State. Who else, Dave? He's gone on an official visit. Tulane's going to put him on a plane next week, and he's going to official down to Tulane in New Orleans. So good things are happening for the big guy, rightfully so. Very proud to have coached this caliber of an athlete, Mr. Jake Swope. Coach Swafford, it's good to hear you talk a while ago about your kid. Coaching your kid is tough. I'm a single dad, pretty rough around the edges. My kid, we've been by ourselves a long time, and there's never a mom to come in and say, "Settle down, Steve. Take it easy on him, Steve," and pick him up and dust him off. And there's nobody to calm me down. There's nobody to pick him up. So he's lived a tough life. He probably should have started every game as a sophomore, but he didn't because he's coach's kid. I never ever gave him anything. Earned everything he got. Had 12 wins this year, 12 turbo clocks. So people say, you're running up the score, coach. No, these guys got these numbers in 2.5 quarters, maybe 3, never 4. Not with 12 turbos. You don't play 4 quarters. He finished the season with 123 tackles, 23 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, 1 interception for a touchdown, and was voted first team all conference last year, and first team all conference this year will be in the league MVP on defense. So real proud of my son. He's a short guy with the long hair. Ian Airy. His aspirations are to play college football. He got his first call yesterday before an official visit. He gets to go up and stay the night at Evangel, and they're paying for his hotel room. He's got his first official visit, so proud of him. And hey, these guys are going to do good things because these guys are dogs. I mean, they will freaking get after you. And both of them are mean. I love them. Good luck.
It's not my turn to introduce, but I've got an Ian Airy story to tell. I just told it to my daughter the other day, and she started laughing. I thought, well, maybe I'll tell this at the banquet. So, here about a month ago, I was in McDonald's, standing there looking up at that little screen waiting for my number to come up. And over here to my left, I see 2 kids come walking in, and Ian's one of them. So they walk in, and they're standing over to my left about 10, 15 feet away from me. Now, I know who Ian is. I've seen him since he's a little boy. I see his pictures on Facebook. I've seen him grow up. Now, he doesn't know me. We've never really been introduced. But I know him. So he comes in. He's standing there. There's a day when school was called off for some reason. So he and his friend are standing over here to my left, and I'm thinking, I'm going to have a little fun with Ian. So I just stand there, and I start staring at him. Just like this. I just stared at him. Now, Ian sees me look at him out of the corner of his eye, but he's weirded out about it, and he's trying not to look at me, but he can't help it. So he's like this. He's trying to act like he's looking at the menu, but he's got me over here, so he's going. And I'm just looking at him, you know. So I looked at him for a little while, and then I walked over toward him, and I said, you know what? You look a lot like Ian Airy. And it was the perfect response. His face lit up, he stood up straight, and he goes, I am Ian Airy. That was great. You got a great kid, Steve. All right, I'm done here.
All right, up next, we're going to Oregon County. And Coach Jennifer Seibert and Kaylee Ray and Maddie Judd. Rudd.
Hey, I had no clue I was supposed to come up here and give a speech, so it was going to be short and sweet. I was like, I have to do what? And Billy's like, yeah, didn't you know that? No. So you guys are coming to give me any warning. Okay, so I'm Jennifer Seibert. I've helped coach volleyball for the last couple of years at Fair. And last year in May, the head volleyball coach comes up and says, I can't do it this year. I really need you to step up and take this for me. I'm like, whew, okay. So I did, and then we got to work. Usually we wait and have a summer, and this year I decided, nope, I'm going to start working these girls extra hard. Both of my girls are seniors, and they are going to be missed so much by me. I've got to watch them grow as athletes. Kaylee Ray has probably one of the prettiest hits I have ever seen. It's beautiful. I don't know really how to describe it, but it is. And Maddie Rudd, whatever I need Maddie Rudd to do, she will step in and she will do it, especially if it's on the back row. Now she gets a little queasy on the front row when she has to go up there. She's like, oh, I'm here. You got to take me out. Okay. But these girls have come a long way. We still have lots of work to do, but I plan on putting them through the mill. And our season, we've won a few more games than what we have in the years past. And it's all because of these girls. They take charge, and they'll go and work with my freshmen and help my freshman and my sophomore. And they're like family. You know, I have a 4-year-old, and she wants to be just like them. Now, when she gets older, she wants to hit, she wants to play, she gets out there with them, and they teach her how to do things, which is great. And we hang out with these girls a lot more than I do my husband, so I'm glad that happened. But my girls will be truly missed. They're great players, and they've helped my freshman and sophomore. That's pretty much it.
Well, the Thayer Bobcats, there's a couple 1A schools in the SCA football conference, and they're just tough as nails, both of them. And this year, great success for the Thayer Bobcats and Coach Billy Weber, and he is recognizing Blake Meisler and Braden Hufstedler.
Recognizing these two fine young men, Blake Meisler's on my far left, Braden's here on the right. Both really fine players for our program, and the reason they probably got to come is because football probably meant the most to these two guys than anybody on our football team. They put it on the list where it needed to be, and we talk about that. That's about fourth on their priorities, and hopefully I think they both understand that. There are things that go in front of it, but it needs to come in there, like I say, about fourth, and I think they do that. Offensively, Blake, he played a running back spot for us. We are a split back mirror team, but we become very multiple throughout the season, particularly when we're as young as what we were this year up front and inexperienced. And so Blake's been a 2-year starter back there at running back for us. So understanding the offense, he did a real good job doing that. Ran the ball very tough. Did a real good job blocking for us from a fullback position. Braden plays a receiver for us, did a fantastic job. Very explosive player for us as well. Get the ball thrown to him. We'd shift him off the line and run some wildcat to him. Just a very good player, both these guys offensively. But probably where they're best at is on the defensive side of the ball. Blake's been a 3-year starter at middle linebacker. Braden started 2 years at corner for us. They were both first team all conference this year at that position at linebacker and at corner. Last year Blake was a 3rd team all-stater at at linebacker. So these guys really do a fantastic job. Blake was our Sam linebacker. We're neck and neck in tackles. Braden, I think, had 6 picks. Blake had several tackles for loss, like 14. But they just do a fantastic job. Defensively, these guys are a big part of our 4th district title in a row. So, you know, they've been a big part of our football team the last couple years. And, you know, that's the thing, as Gary or Harlan, whoever introduced us, I'm sorry. But, you know, you look at our schedule, Kabul's schedule, and it is tough. It's tough week in, week out. And Coach Pitts, who coaches our basketball, who's helped me in football, prior to him selling fishing rods for several years, there was a lot of warm-ups that we did not win. Okay? You look at warm-ups, and we're not winning warm-ups. But then when it comes time to compete, we've had some teams that would compete with almost anybody. And, you know, these guys are part of those teams, and we're real proud of them. And that's what I'm getting to, is that, you know, in our first round game, we got to play Vince and the Kabul Bulldogs, and that was the district championship. And even going to Pierce City, we didn't win warm-ups, and they had some real good players. Miller had some really good players. In fact, it was probably better than Pierce City, but Pierce City had beaten them. But these guys like this, they come and compete and play physical, and we're just sure proud of them. Thank you.
Next up, Kabul. First time for both coaches to be here at this event with us, and we're happy to have both of them. First of all, Kabul Volleyball. Coach Julia Reeves, her players are Jada Johnson and Caitlin Ellis.
Hello, I'm Julia Reeves. Thanks for having us. First year for me, first year head coach, first year really of anything. Kind of stepped out of my comfort zone, and we had a heck of a season. We set a new single season win record of 26-8-3. We got 2nd in districts, and just had a heck of a season. My 2 athletes I brought, one is a junior, Caitlin Ellison, and then I have a senior, Jada Johnson. My junior, Caitlin Ellison, she was a libero for us. She's all over the floor. She had 332 digs on the year. She received 350 passes with only 36 errors. And she was an all-district and all-conference player. She's very smart. She's also very good at basketball. So she's a player that you want on your floor. She's bossy, and I like that. But I'm glad that I'm going to have her another year. My senior, Jada Johnson. If you looked at our team, you knew who we were going to use, and it was Jadra. I describe Jadra as an animal. She's putting the ball away every time. She had 307 total kills, 30 aces, 56 blocks, and even had 110 digs. She's very smart. She knew when to tip, when to not tip, where to place the ball. So I'm really going to miss her next year. And thanks for having us.
one more school after this one, but this has got to be a dream come true for Vince Mccroskey to have the last word as far as football coaches go. But and here's the thing about Vince. Anyone that has ever known Vince Mccroskey has a Vince Mccroskey story to tell. Everybody. If we took a poll of the room, I mean, it'd be mind-boggling. But we're so happy to have him be a part of this at Kabul High School. Head football coach Vince Mccroskey, and here come he and his players, Sean Smith and Nathan Christensen.
Where's Harlan at? Where you at? Where's Harlan?
Right here.
Now look at this. I'm Coach Mac. I tell you my name, but you look me up and call me. You feel the love tonight? Feel it? Christmas tree, American flag, love. Going through these teams. I don't like any of you people. West Plains wouldn't hire me. Houston beat me. Mountain View beat me. Mountain Home wouldn't hire me. There, I kind of like there. Mountain Grove, nobody likes them. And then Ava, even if Ava wins, they lose. You know why? Because they got to go back home to Ava. I want to say something real quick about West Plains. Long hair, nice and cute. Steve, what do we call that? The 70s? What you think of our volleyball coach? See what coaches out there, what you think of our volleyball coach? She's pretty hot, isn't she? It's hard to believe I brought more hotness than she did. And I didn't bring my leather pants.
Hey, you can stop now.
I just started. I love football. I love everything about it. I like washing the clothes. I like the weight room. I love everything about it. It's an honor. Whether Steve resigns or not, or he keeps coaching or not, it was an honor to learn from the best. When people say things about me, they're really saying things about you, because you just reinforce things that I believed in. Every day we're going to make a kid better. Every day. Every day. Okay? I disagree with the coach from Mountain Home. We have the toughest schedule. We in there have the toughest schedule. We play up every week. Every week. We are the underdog every week. Oh, never mind. Mountain Home's probably the underdog every week too. But you know what? I used to hate that. I used to hate that. I wish I could coach in a school where I wasn't going to be the underdog. But you know what? I like it now. Bring it. Bring it. So let me tell you about, I can tell you about all conference, honorable mention, linebacker, and the SCA. All conference, honorable mention. It's Spencer Christensen, by the way. I said the wrong name. Sean Smith. I'll talk about him. But here's what these kids did, man. They went 1-29 3 years before we got here. It wasn't because of coaching. It wasn't because we're the smallest team. Okay? We are landlocked at 220. So every week these kids are going to go up and they're going to have to go fight a 218, a 318. And I used to sit there and go, gosh, why me? Why me? Bring it. Anytime, any place, anywhere. Bring it. Isn't that what we say, boys? Bring it. Where's Highland at? We'll skip you. Good. All right. I can tell you about all conference. I can tell you about how great a kid, how great his parents are. I can tell you how this kid never missed the weight room. This kid would go to school, go to practice, go to work until 11 o'clock at night, and do it every night. Talk about Sean here. I wish you could have seen him against there. blood. Just blood. They beat us 34-6 the first time. They beat us 14-7 the second time. All right. I love what sports does for kids. The greatest thing that these kids are going to have their parents. But I want you to understand that most of our kids don't have you as parents. So your coaches take the lead. I'm just so happy that I got to have these two kids. How would you like to go 1-29? Get made fun of by your own school. Get made fun of by your own town. And they never quit. They never quit. You think they're going to be okay in life? Yeah. No. You're allowed to shake your head. Okay. You don't disagree with me now. They're going to be successful, like all these kids in here, because they understand what it takes. So, as a coach, I want to say thank you for not quitting, Spencer Christensen. I want to say thank you, Sean Smith, who would bring me Gatorades at 2 o'clock in the afternoon while mowing. I love football. And I'm so grateful to the Ozark Radio Sports Network at this time. And it just makes sure you understand, with me trying to say what's really on my mind, I still don't like you. Okay?
Coach Mack. We're going to Highland. And volleyball coach Tiffany Curtwright and Ashley Gallagher and Chloe Thornton.
These Missouri coaches scared our football boys away, I think, so I'm here tonight. I just want to say thank you to the Ozark Radio Group. My first year coaching was last year, and I got to come to this Banquet. And congrats, because even this year there's so many more people here, which makes it great to speak in front of them. But good job for y'all to bring these many people up here. Like I said, this is my second year coaching high school, and I couldn't have done it without these two girls here. We got thrown into a new conference this year with 6 out of the top 12 teams from state. And it was definitely a struggle, but it would have been worse if I hadn't had these two seniors. I had 7 seniors this year. Gonna talk about Ashley first. She's in the flowery dress. She was our returning starting libero, and we wouldn't have had a defense without her. She was our captain, voted by the team, but also she was just our call-up girl, because no one was allowed to call it up but Ashley. And now we don't know who's going to do that for us, because no one can replace this girl. She was our heart and our motivation for everything. And she finished the season with over 272 digs. And she had 499 successful serving receptions. In the conference we were in, that's pretty awesome for her. So she did a great job. And believe it or not, the short one over there is actually our starting outside / middle hitter. She has a 21-inch vertical, which makes up for the shortness. She finished the season with 99 kills. She also had 43 aces, and she ended up playing all the way around for us just because we needed some more defensive help. And she finished up with 123 digs as well. Most importantly, though, I would say that I'm definitely proud of how much they have grown, how much they have changed as human beings since I met them. The first time I ever traveled to Highland, I was like, I don't know, it's kind of rough down here. But I'm super proud of the girls they have become, and I know they're going to do great things with their life, and I'm so glad I got to be the coach before they left. Thank you.
Now we're to the point where we are going to name our players and coaches of the year. And this is something that we choose. And last year we had co-players of the year for both. This year, pretty easy to choose one for each. Now I'm trying to think, 4 years ago, Sherry Toon, was Joanna Walkup our first player of the year? Okay, so that would have been when this particular class were freshmen. So there's some symmetry involved here. Our player of the year, I thought it was kind of ironic that first 3 letters of her name are all, because she was all a lot, along with being the best player in her conference. Along with that, like we were talking about earlier, there's other dynamics that are involved here about the kind of person that you are. Along with being a great player, there's plenty of great players, but there's not a lot that you would point at and say, I want my kid to be like that. Well, this kid is like that. Not only an outstanding player, an all-conference player, player of the year in her conference, but obviously a great team leader, and probably learned something from some of those older players that she saw when she was young, and has probably taught a lot to some of those younger players as she graduates this year after helping lead the Liberty volleyball team to another unbelievable year. 30 wins. It's really something else. So our volleyball player of the year from Liberty High School, we want to congratulate Allison Smith. But let's go from there and go to our volleyball coach of the year. You know, it's one thing to have a lot of success and to do it once. To do it repeatedly, that is a real sign of a great program. And we have one of those programs here in our area. Have gone to the Final Four numerous times, even won a state championship. And they're on a short list of great programs in this region. And after a little bit of a drop-off last year, went right back, and they're right there in the last 4 teams in the state this year. What she has been able to do and what she's been able to establish has been outstanding. And she has raised the bar and held it there for a number of years now, and deserves a lot of credit for what she's been able to establish and maintain. Our volleyball coach of the year from Liberty High School, Sherry Toon. Football, our last year, like I said, we had co-players of the year, and one of our players was a lineman, and that really made me happy. I thought, you know, those guys just don't get the amount of credit that they deserve because of the kind of work that they put in. And as I was here about midway through the football season, I was watching. You know, West Plains was putting up just ridiculous numbers. I mean, offensively and defensively too, just shutting people down. But the offense, they were running the football. And so one day I got some video and I was watching it. And I got up and I went and got him. I said, come here and look at this. And we're watching how they executed plays, and the precision was just amazing, play after play. And I thought, you can't, you know, you got to have outstanding talent running the ball, but you do not do that without great talent up front. And we have one of those kind of players here that we're going to honor as our high school football player of the year, who I was watching some video. It looked like some plays. He looked like drywall with legs. And he was just walling stuff off, and you know, you had a 3-4 yard gap for the back to run through, and that takes talent. And he is very talented, and he'll be a very talented player at the next level. Our high school football player of the year, well deserved, is Jake Swope. Finally, our football coach of the year. We had such a year in high school football around here. Not one, not two, but 3 area teams were state quarterfinalists. That is really something else. What a year for high school football for us in this part of the world. Now, I'm going to tell a real quick story here, and it has to do with Stan Musial. In 1939, Stan Musial was a pitcher for the Cardinals. He was catching fly balls in the outfield in spring training. He dove to catch a ball, landed on his shoulder, and ruined his shoulder, and he couldn't pitch anymore. So they were going to let him go, but then one of the general manager's flunkies said, well, you know, he can hit pretty well. Let's keep him around for a little while. So one day, the general manager's assistant comes up to the office during spring training. His name was Branch Rickey. He said, Mr. Rickey, I want to show you where this Musial kid hit a baseball today. He said, all right. So he takes him down to the field. They go beyond the right field fence. They walk across the railroad track. They go out into a field beyond that, and it was, by general measurements, probably about 550 feet away. Now, if you've ever walked off 550 feet hitting the baseball, that is a long poke. And Mr. Rickey looked at his assistant and said, now let me ask you something. You saw this happen? He said, yes, sir, I saw it happen. He said, if you didn't see it happen, would you have believed it? He said, no, sir, I would not have. He said, then you won't mind if I don't either. And that was kind of what I thought about our Zizzer football team this year. If I hadn't actually seen it and saw what they did week to week, it would have been hard to believe. I have a brother-in-law in Joplin, and Joplin had a pretty good football team this year. And he was always asking me about, are you guys really as good as it looks like you are? I said, seeing's believing. I mean, it is what it is. And he said, boy, I wish we could have played you guys this year. And I said, yeah, I wish we could have played you guys this year too. That's been a lot of fun. Because this football team, I've been around for a long time, and this team is as good as any football team I have ever seen in this part of the world. Now, he can give the credit, and rightly so. We got a lot of good players, really good players, a lot of good support from the community. But to say that it would have happened anyway is not true. It takes the right guy guiding this thing. And I read a story Saturday in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch about Ladue High School winning the state championship. They beat Country Day by like 30-some points. It was just they just hammered them. And in the story, it alluded to what a great season Ladue had, and remarked how, in order to win the state championship, they had to beat an outstanding West Plains team. Now, in St. Louis, to get a sports writer in St. Louis to compliment a little old town down here like that, where they throw around compliments like manhole covers, that's a recognition of just how good this program was. Steve Airy and the Zizzers gave this town something they've never had before, an experience like they've never had before, and who knows, they may never have again. But, like I said earlier, it's going to be a moment that they'll always have and that they'll always be able to hang on to. And he deserves all the credit for that. And our Coach of the Year, already in the Missouri Hall of Fame, is the head coach of the Zizzers, Mr. Steve Airy.
All right. The centerpieces here, whoever has the ranch dressing in front of them, you get to take the centerpiece home. All right? Okay, so if the ranch dressing is in front of you, you get the centerpiece.
Folks, we want to say thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. We want to say thank you to Bootleggers Bbq, our platinum sponsor for this event. Take the programs home with you, and if you get a chance to thank the table sponsors and decoration sponsors, please do that. Thanks to Crystal Cook, Donna Coatney, Beverly Broyles, Jim Lambert, and everybody else for helping put this together. Thank you so much, and we hope that tonight provided a moment for you that you'll hold on to. Thank you for coming.